What's up, Facebook? What's up, Instagram? I'm going live right now. A little early tonight, but got a lot in store for you. Let me get my notes pulled up here. But anyways, so I'm going to break down the July 16th speech by President Donald John Trump, which was about election interference, and show you, if you're a patriot, your validation, for one. 6 years, which is a little too long, obviously, but it will be validation for you. You know, they always say my dad had a saying that the proof's in the pudding, and if he was talking to someone that was the actual problem, he'd say the proof's in the pudding and you're the pudding. So, you know, we have a situation in America where I tell people all the time, I think the better technology gets, the dumber people get. Because you have everything right in front of you, right at your fingertips, but then you don't have the what? You don't have the tools to be successful. The tools are your IQ. You know, the old saying is that knowledge is power. No, it's not. It's the application of knowledge that's power. It's not just knowledge. Now, you got to have the knowledge too, but you got to apply the knowledge. So too many Americans are looking pretty atrocious right now. Now, kudos to you. If you're from another nation, you get a hall pass because obviously you guys and gals value education. Americans don't. Americans want someone else to do it. They want people like me. Oh, you love this. You love talking about it. You do this weekly, daily, monthly. You do it. Well, we are doing it. But then it's the same people who turn around and complain about gas and costs and taxes and food and everything, you name it. They don't even have two nickels to rub together to make a penny, but they're the ones complaining the most. But they still want me to do it and you, the true patriot, to do it. So now we gotta break down another category. It's not just patriots anymore. Now there's patriots and then true patriots. And, you know, does it really matter at the end of the day as far as that goes? No, it's going to shake itself out because the real patriots are going to shake out the weeds, right? All the others out there that didn't do anything, they're going to be exposed just because they didn't do anything. But my documents that you can still go to this day, they're time stamped and they're also time dated, meaning I haven't updated them since way back in 2021 or 2022. But I put out these documents that I had written from 2017 all the way to January 2021 when I published those. Free to the public. I pay for it, right? So how is it that I already knew what was going on before the election? Because you can look at my notes as I updated them. How was it that I already knew before that ever happened? Now, there's quote-unquote podcasters out there that tell you that they've been knowing a long time, but they have no timestamp proof. It's just all right here. And then some of you believe them just because maybe they are a good person, but they have nothing. I have timestamp written proof on Google Documents, published January 2021, that I already knew what was going on lawfully, but not just lawfully. See, there's another application of law that people have forgotten. My books, the #1 bestsellers, right? These are intellectual property. Meaning, I took laws and orders, yes, but the but is the irregular warfare, unconventional warfare, strategies and tactics, layers and layers and layers and variables and variations, etc., is what I wove together to show you that 45-47 is a special and strategic operation. So you got to have all components to know that. And once there's a book out, which this was published in December 2023, even though it stems from my documents published January 2021, and then part 2 over here, once there's a book out and it outlines in a chronological order all the laws and orders, strategies, and tactics, and it outlines the whole blueprint of what President Trump has already done and the deep state's already gone, there's no excuses for you to be following all these pansy podcasters out there telling you the deep state's in panic and all that. No, they're not. They're not even around anymore. And once you have that outline, blueprint, strategy, everything, Americans have zero excuses to look as atrocious as they do right now. Especially your friends and family, patriots. You know who they are. You know them. Y'all know. The ones that looked all shocked and surprised, the Republicans, conservatives, on Thursday night. Oh my gosh. No, already in number one best-selling books. And you all made them number one because I'm an independent writer, independent editor, independent publisher, self-published. So we're going to break this down, and I'm going to show you. But I'm going to do it backwards this time around. We're going to flip it around backwards. Kind of cool, though. So what set up this operation? Here you go. Let's roll with it. So on December the 20th, 2019, Congress passed the NDAA of 2020. All right. It was a Democrat House, which means Nancy Pelosi was a speaker. So it means Democrat-controlled House is what put in Title 50, Chapter 33, Section 1550. All right, which I'm going to break down here shortly. All right. Also on that day, Space Force was established. The Uniform Code of Military Justice, Title 10, which is military law, was overhauled for the first time since 1950 and updated, overhauled, that's what that means. All right, then also, same day, Global Fragility Act was passed. I'm going to break that down in a minute, going to read all about that. And then you had your Courts Martial Handbook, which was updated. It had to be, even though it's still separate, but it had to be because the Uniform Code of Military Justice, military law, was updated. Then you had your February 4th, 2020 State of the Union speech, where that was the first time that the American public heard President Trump mention the word COVID. All right. March 13th, 2020, President Trump declared a verbal national emergency. All right. Then March 24th, there was an article put out there that mainstream media put out that most Americans wouldn't read about because most Americans don't care about until they absolutely have to care when they're in a state of panic. But mainstream media put out that a general was to be installed just in case the law breaks down. If the law breaks down, ladies and gentlemen, on the federal side, that don't mean it breaks down on the military. If the federal law breaks down, that means military law kicks in, which is martial law. All right, so military government and all the other applications of irregular warfare and unconventional warfare. That was March 24th, 2020. March 27th, 2020, President Donald John Trump, Executive Order 13912, invoked Title 10, Section 12302, which is a federalization order of the National Guard and the reserve components. All right, right there. That didn't have an emergency inside of it. It's a regular executive order. So if it's not revoked by the next president, it is still active. Very key. Very key. All right, March the 30th, President Trump's in all these different press conferences. What is he saying to the public? Take hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine, zinc, Z-Pak. He didn't say take Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and all these others. He told you, the public, to take hydroxychloroquine, chloroquine, Z-Pak if your heart could take it. Where the heck were you, and what were you listening to? You weren't listening to the Commander-in-Chief. All right, so, sorry. If you took the other, and you took the alteration, and it's messing with you, and some people have kicked the bucket because of it, it's part of life. It is what it is. You have to address these things. April the 1st, that's when Southern Command launched the Operation Southern Spear, which is going on in the what? Caribbean Sea, which is pertaining to whom? Venezuela. April the 1st, 2020. April the 30th, 2020, Executive Order 13919, President Trump invoked Title 10, Section 12304, which is a 2-year preparation. All right? You might want to know some military laws out there. You might want to know military sections and how they apply and who they apply to. So, he directed the Secretary of Defense to federalize selective reserves to active duty. All right? July the 1st, he tore up NAFTA, old trade agreement. He established the USMCA, the new Canadian and Mexican trade agreement. July the 14th, Executive Order 13936, national emergency with Hong Kong. Who did he say took over the Panama Canal? Hong Kong. Why did we send 4,000 Marine Corps to Panama last year? Wonder why. And they're still down there. August 28th, this is very key. This is really fun to break down. August 28th, 2020, congressional report comes out. Up at the top says Military Justice Act. Well, that was passed way back in 2016. Now, why in the world would the old Supreme Court that had more liberal justices on it, why would they all of a sudden, out of nowhere, clarify that military law is separate from federal law? Meaning court-wise. So you take that, now fast forward back to December the 20th, 2019, when they overhauled the Uniform Code of Military Justice and they overhauled the Courts Martial Handbook. Updating courts marshaling? Pretty sure the military justice ties in with the JAG, which is who you would stand before in front of in a military court. So why was the liberal Supreme Court out of nowhere clarifying this, and then they put it in the NDAA of 2017? Who was becoming president January the 20th, 2017? Yeah, what a coincidence that is. If you take 180 business days, which is how the government operates, when they put clauses 180 days, they mean business days. When you take 180 business days added to December the 20th, 2019, it gives you August 28th, 2020. And there's a report there that the president was supposed to do. Following what? Title 50, Chapter 33, Section 1550, put in December the 20th, 2019. See how this rolls? Okay. September the 15th, President Trump established the Abraham Accords. November the 4th, we all know what took place that day. That was the election of 2020. You had a 4-star general telling you that our joint partners all over the world were working with our National Guard and our Cyber Command and our national security, watching the elections, hoping we learn what we learned from 2018. Well, what were we learning in 2018? Wonder what happened in 2018. Oh, we're going to get there in a minute. All right, November the 12th. 8 days later, President Trump, Executive Order 13959, declares a national emergency versus the People's Republic of China. Oh my goodness. Did we just say November the 12th, 2020, and President Trump, July 16th, 2026, told the whole world, and many heard it for the quote-unquote first time, that the People's Republic of China were meddling with our elections? And way back here, there's an executive order with a national emergency just 8 days after that election that quote-unquote Joe enhanced in Executive Order 14032. But then when you look at the continuation of President Trump's order of that national emergency, which was continued last year, which would be 2025, he continued Executive Order 13959. Why would he continue in Executive Order 14032? Oh, because in November and December 2025, he told you that all executive actions by quote-unquote Joe are hereby terminated, which if that was a real-life scenario, it would create judicial world chaos, and it didn't do so. Which, again, always goes back to strategic special operation that you're watching. And if you have problems with this, you have problems with the United States military. Special operations. December the 7th, President Trump, Executive Order 13961, Federal Mission Resilient Strategy, which is a strategy for what? Continuity of government. December the 10th, Executive Order 13963, the most recent to date, July 19th, 2026, the most recent to date order of succession within the Department of then Defense, now War, is from Executive Order 13963 from December the 10th, 2020. Every single president has had an order of succession within the Department of Defense, now War, except for, quote-unquote, Joe. December the 14th, that's when the states were supposed to have their vote counts turned in for the presidential electors. The same day that President Trump, who's never lived in the great state of Texas, of which I've lived in a long time, files via the state